Hi, everybody. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is read that first part of the book, which is the note to the reader, right? It's only a couple pages long, and we'll get a sense of how it'll flow. And let's at least get through chapter one, the challenge of our time. So I'll make this initial video and then I'll make another one on part one, and then we'll go from there. Here, I want to point something out though first. Okay. So this is my website, and last video we talked about the five ranks of Dojan. So this Truth Seeker page is a compilation of a lot of uh, writings and videos and podcasts that I accumulated once we started doing Zoom classes in March of 2020. And then I kind of stopped that a couple years later. I kept them all together because we were working a little more intensely. So if I go to this page, um, and I have an introduction of what this page is all about. Really, I got to figure out how to set it up differently. However, let me tell you how it's set up. So you can read through this initial part. I talk about the paradigm shift here. This might be good. Here, so in this series of posts that I have, it's part of our group sessions. There are many pages in this tab. Start at the last one. So let me go down to the bottom of the page and show you how to start to the last one, how to start on the last one. So if you go and you see pages, there are a total of 17 pages under the Truth Seekers page. And so if you go to 17, this is like week one of our intense work. And I start out with human development. These podcasts are really, really good. Um, Anyways, I know that I want to get to page 15. So if you go to page 15 and you go down towards the bottom, I have some videos that are, is it 15? I am wrong. Maybe it's 16. Yes, it's page 16. So if you go to page 16 and go towards the end of the page, these these two things are blocked. One's 28 minutes long and one is 25 minutes long. These are the five ranks of Tojan explained by Bill Harris as he taught it with Genpo Roshi. Bill Harris is a guy, uh, he's passed away, but he owned a company called Hemisync, not Hemisync, Holosync. And he did the whole series of blogs on human development. So it's worth starting on page 17, but here on page 16, towards the bottom, these are the five stages of enlightenment are the five ranks of Dojan, explained by Bill Harris. All right, so that's a good reference. We all should do this. This is a video. This is a long video. It's like 2.5 hours long. And this is Genpo Roshi. This is who Bill Harris teaches with. Okay. All right. I just wanted to point that out. And then, of course, I have a I have a blog section, which where I publish my latest blogs. Okay. I'm gonna stop that, and now let's go back to table of contents. So, note to the reader, this is Ken Wilber, and he wrote this in the summer of 1997. So what is that, 24? That's 27 years ago. You know, all great prophets, all great philosophers are always ahead of their time. And then you look back and you're like, oh, it makes even more sense. Ken Wilber is going to go down as he already is, one of the most intelligent, enlightened, he's amazing. The amount that he's written and the amount of his ability to not only retain it, but how to juxtapose the many maps is incredible. Yeah. So Ken Wilber, definitely someone. So anyways, we're going to study it. So a note to the reader. It's hard to say exactly when modern science began. Many scholars would date it roughly 1600, when both Kepler and Galileo started using precision measurement to map the universe. So 1600, that's what, 500 years ago? No, 424 years ago. Not long in the history of human beings, right? But one thing is certain, starting from whatever date we choose, modern science was, in many Hey man, Bashi, what's up? Let's relax. Sit down. Sorry about that. But one thing is for certain, starting from whatever date we choose, modern science was, in many important ways, and right from the start, deeply antagonistic to established religion. So, and he'll get into this, but think about how the world was prior to 1600. Who had the upper hand, religion or science? What we're basically saying, or what Wilbur's basically saying, is that 1600 is the time of the birth of modern science. Most of the early scientists, of course, remained true believers, genuinely embracing the God of the church. Many of them sincerely believed that they were simply discovering God's archetypal laws as revealed in the book of nature. And yet, with the introduction of the scientific method, a universal acid was released that would slowly, inevitably, painfully eat into and corrode the centuries-old steel of religion, dissolving often beyond recognition virtually all of its central tenets and dogmas. Within the span of a mere few centuries, intelligent men and women in all walks of life could deeply and profoundly do something that would have utterly astonished previous epochs, deny the very existence of spirit. Despite the entreaties of the tender-hearted in both camps, the relation of science and religion in the modern world, that is, in the last 3 or 4 centuries, has changed very little since their introduction to each other in the Trial of Galileo, where the scientists agreed to shut his mouth, and the church agreed not to burn him. Many wonderful exceptions aside, the plain historical fact has been that Orthodox science and Orthodox religion deeply distrust and often despise each other. Okay, so there's this rift. There's this chasm between between science and religion. And of course, here in this book, Wilber is comparing the chasm of science and religion to the chasm between sense and soul. All right, what the Kabbalists, between the physical material world and the etheric invisible world, you know? What the Kabbalists would say between the 1% and the 99%. Right, and it's not 50-50. And well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. It has been a tense confrontation, a philosophical cold war of global reach. On the one hand, modern empirical science has made stunning and colossal discoveries. The cure of diseases such as typhoid, smallpox, and malaria, which racked the ancient world with untold anguish. The engineering of marvels, from the airplane to the Eiffel Tower to the space shuttle. Discoveries in the biological science that verge on the secrets of life itself. Advances in computer sciences that are literally revolutionizing human existence, not to mention plopping a person on the moon. I don't know. Science can accomplish such feats, its proponents maintain, because it utilizes a solid method for discovering truth. A method that is empirical and experimental and based on evidence, not one that relies on myths and dogmas and unverifiable proclamations. Thus, science, its proponents believe, has made discoveries that have relieved more pain, saved more lives, and advanced knowledge incomparably more than any religion and its pie-in-the-sky God. I would kind of interject, we'll see what science is doing now when it comes to war. Anyways, to continue, humanity's only real salvation is a reliance on scientific truth and its advance, not a projection of human potentials onto an illusory great other before whom we grovel and beg in the most childish and undignified of fashions. Okay, so Wilber's painting the picture of the divide between science and religion. I think the magic of this book is, again, he's using science and religion, but we're getting to when we dig deeper, we're gonna see the sense in the soul. Anyways, to continue on. There is a strange and curious thing about scientific truth. As its own proponents constantly explain, science is basically value-free. It tells us what is, not what should be or ought to be. An electron isn't good or bad, it just is. The cell's nucleus is not good or bad, it just is. A solar system isn't good or bad, it just is. Consequently, science, in elucidating or describing those basic facts about the universe, has virtually nothing to tell us about good and bad, wise and unwise, desirable and undesirable. Science might offer us truth, but how to use that truth wisely on this science is and always has been utterly silent, and rightly so. That is not its job. That is not what it was designed to do. And we certainly should not blame science for this silence. Truth, not wisdom or value or worth, is the province of science. Okay. Continuing on. In the midst of this silence, religion speaks. Does it? Huh. Humans seem condemned to meaning, condemned to find value, depth, care, concern, worth, significance to their everyday existence. If science will not and cannot provide it, most men and women will look elsewhere. For literally billions of people around the world, religion provides and still does over the last 400 years and still today. Religion provides the basic meaning of their lives. Of course, religion doesn't do that for the enlightened, right? Well, this is what we're diving into. So anyways, religion provides the basic meaning of their lives, the glue of their existence, and offers them a set of guidelines about what is good, i.e., examples, love, care, compassion, and what's not good, lying, cheating, stealing. On the deepest level, religion has even claimed to offer a means of contacting or communing with the ultimate ground of being. But by any other name, religion offers what it believes is a genuine wisdom. Fact and meaning, truth and wisdom, silence and religion. It is a strange and grotesque coexistence with value-free science and value-laden religion, deeply distrustful of each other, aggressively attempting to colonize the same small planet. It's a clash of titans, to be sure, yet neither seems strong enough to prevail decisively, nor graceful enough to bow out altogether. The trial of Galileo is repeated countless times, moment to moment, around the world, and it's tearing humanity more or less in half. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Therefore, the integration of science and religion is the theme of this book. If you are an Orthodox religious believer, I would only ask, or ask only, that you relax into the argument and see where it takes you. I do not think you'll be dismayed. My primary prerequisite in this discussion is that both science and religion must find the argument acceptable in their own terms. For this marriage to be genuine, it must have the free consent of both spouses. Now, if you're an Orthodox scientist, I would only suggest that, as you have 1,000 times in the past, when you were working on a problem, let curiosity and wonder bubble up. But in this case, don't focus it on a specific solution. Simply let wonder fill your being until it takes you out of yourself and into the staggering mystery that is the existence of the world, a mystery that facts alone can never begin to fill. So I think what Wilber's asking, if you tend to be more on the science perspective, worldview, way of looking at the world, willingly suspend your disbelief. If spirit does exist, it will lie in that direction, the direction of wonder, a direction that intersects the very heart of science. And you will find in this adventure that the scientific method will never be left behind in the search for an ultimate ground. And we all know how to wonder, don't we? From the depths of the cosmos to miraculous to believe, from the heights of a universe too wondrous to worship, from the insides of an astonishment that has no boundaries, an answer begins to suggest itself and whispers to us lightly. If we listen very carefully from within this infinite wonder, perhaps we can hear the gentle promise that in the very heart of the cosmos itself, both science and religion will be there together to welcome us home. Yeah, it reminds me of a quote, and did you ever watch that movie, the What the Bleep Do We Know? If you haven't watched that, you need to watch that. So, what the bleep do we know? But one of the quotes from one of the quantum physicists is, better to be in the mystery than in the know. All right, so next time we'll move on to chapter 1.